I clutched my abdomen as another wave of pain shot through my body, the pre-surgery medication making my vision blur slightly. Through the haze, I saw a notification flash across my phone screen. Transfer alert, $3.5 million. Account ending in 4872. My heart nearly stopped, and suddenly the pain from my upcoming emergency gallbladder surgery seemed distant. I blinked hard, hoping the medication was making me see things. It wasn't. If you're just joining us, drop a hello in the comments and let us know where you're watching from. This story might sound familiar to anyone who's ever been underestimated, but trust me, you haven't heard anything like this before. Make sure you're subscribed because tomorrow's story will show you how I turned a moment of betrayal into my greatest triumph. The hospital room's fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows as I stared at my phone, my hands trembling. The timestamp burned into my consciousness, 6:42 a.m. Nathan, my husband of 9 years, had chosen the moment of my emergency surgery to empty our joint investment account, the same account where I'd been quietly depositing the dividends from Helix Innovations for the past 5 years. Mrs. Hayes, Dr. Elena Santos appeared. In the doorway, her surgical scrubs already on. "We need to prep you for surgery now." "Just a moment," I whispered, my fingers flying across my phone screen as I forwarded the transfer alert to Mason Taylor, my chief of operations. The message was simple. Initiate Protocol Omega. 3 words that would set in motion events Nathan couldn't possibly imagine. I let the nurse take my phone, forcing myself to appear as nothing more than a worried patient heading into surgery. If Nathan thought I was too medicated to notice the transfer, that was fine. Let him think that. He didn't know that while he was emptying our joint account. My real empire was spread across 3 continents, with assets that made his stolen millions look like pocket change. "Your husband called," the nurse mentioned as she wheeled me toward the operating room. "He said he's sorry he couldn't be here, but there's an emergency board meeting he couldn't reschedule." I almost laughed. The emergency board meeting was undoubtedly with Madison Blake, the corporate lawyer he'd hired as his assistant 6 months ago. The same Madison who'd recently been house hunting in Sausalito. Now I knew where my money was going. As Dr. Santos began the pre-surgery checklist, my mind drifted to my private office on the top floor of the Helix Tower. Behind the walls decorated with modest humanitarian awards lay the command center of a biotech empire that had revolutionized cancer treatment in Asia. Every award, every plaque, carefully chosen to maintain my cover as a small-time charity director while I orchestrated billion-dollar mergers. Nathan always found it amusing, I thought as the anesthesia began to take hold, how I spent my days playing at business with my little foundation. He loved to mansplain basic business concepts to me at dinner parties, never noticing how the CEOs of major biotech firms always seemed to seek my opinion, or how his own company's board members treated me with unusual deference. The irony would have been hilarious if it wasn't so painful. Nathan had been working for me for the past 3 years. Vertex Biotech, where he proudly held the position of executive vice president, was a subsidiary I'd acquired through a series of shell companies. Every promotion he'd bragged about, every deal he'd claimed credit for, had been orchestrated by the wife he'd dismissed as a simple charity worker. As the anesthesia pulled me under, I saw another text flash across my mind. Package secured. Surveillance in place. Mason. Good. Let Nathan enjoy his morning with Madison. By the time I woke up, the pieces would be in motion. The last thing I heard before losing consciousness was Dr. Santos's voice. Beginning procedure at 7:15 a.m. When I woke up, Nathan would learn that he hadn't just betrayed his wife, he'd stolen from his CEO. If this story resonates with you, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell. Tomorrow, you'll see how I turned the tables, on them both, and trust me, the ending is more satisfying than you could imagine. Sometimes the biggest mistake someone can make is underestimating the woman they swore to love. Drop a comment telling me if you've ever been underestimated. Your story matters too. This is just the beginning. Wait until you see how I turned my emergency surgery into an opportunity that changed everything. Hit subscribe because tomorrow's part will show you exactly how I made them both work in my mailroom while I transformed my company into a global empire. Story and phrases from the previous stories. Edit. The steady beep of medical monitors gradually faded into focus as I regained consciousness in the recovery room. Through the lingering haze of anesthesia, my first clear thought wasn't about my surgery. It was about the 3 monitors in my private office displaying real-time market data from across the Pacific. I needed to check if Nathan had discovered what those screens revealed about his company's true ownership. Dr. Santos appeared at my bedside, checking my vitals with practiced efficiency. "The surgery went well, Mrs. Hayes. Your gallbladder showed signs of significant inflammation. It's fortunate we caught it when we did." I managed a weak smile, thinking how Nathan had complained about driving me to the emergency room at midnight, saying it was probably just indigestion. He'd left as soon as they admitted me, claiming he needed to prepare for an early meeting. Now I knew exactly what kind of meeting he'd been preparing for. My phone lit up with a message from Diana Wu, my CFO. "Real estate transfer complete. Sausalito property recorded under Madison Blake's name. Surveillance confirms both targets on premises." I closed my eyes, letting the information sink in. Nathan hadn't wasted any time spending my money on his young corporate lawyer-turned-girlfriend. The private recovery room offered welcome solitude, as I initiated a secure connection to my office system through a hidden app on my phone. Behind the innocent-looking Charity Foundation interface lay the command center of Helix Innovations, a biotech empire that had quietly become one of the largest pharmaceutical research companies in the world. To my right, a vase of expensive orchids sat with a card from Nathan. "Get well soon, darling. Sorry about the board meeting. These charity galas can manage without you for a few days." The patronizing tone was so familiar it almost made me laugh, if it hadn't been for my fresh surgical incision. Mason Taylor's voice message waited in my encrypted folder. "The security team is in position at the Sausalito property. Video feeds are live. They're celebrating with champagne on the deck right now. The same champagne you used to close the Singapore merger last month." I pulled up the live feed on my tablet, watching Nathan and Madison toast their new beginning with my success. The deck overlooked the bay, offering the same views I'd admired when I'd secretly acquired the property through a shell company months ago, anticipating Nathan's predictable taste in luxury real estate. The door opened as a nurse brought in my afternoon medications. I quickly switched my tablet to display the Charity Foundation's upcoming gala plans. "Your husband called," she mentioned. "He said he's tied up in meetings all day, but will try to stop by this evening." Meetings. Right. The security feed showed him and Madison now in the kitchen, planning where to put their furniture. My furniture, technically, since every penny had come from my company's profits. Nathan just didn't know that yet. Diana's next. Update made me smile despite the post-surgical discomfort. Board members alerted. Emergency session scheduled for tomorrow morning. All participants confirmed their support for Protocol Omega. I thought about the hidden room behind my home office, where 3 decades of strategic planning lined the walls. Each certificate, each humanitarian award, carefully chosen to reinforce Nathan's perception of me as nothing more than a charitable socialite. He never questioned why major pharmaceutical CEOs attended my simple fundraisers, or why his board members treated me with such careful respect. The medication made me drowsy, but I forced myself to stay alert as I reviewed the morning's market data. Nathan had transferred the money thinking it was our joint savings. In reality, every dollar had come from quarterly dividends paid by his own employer, my company. The same company where he bragged about his executive position, never realizing he was actually several levels below his wife in the corporate hierarchy. My tablet chimed with an urgent message from Mason. "Madison Blake accessing restricted. Servers. Attempting to transfer property deed to offshore account. I smirked, knowing she'd find nothing but a carefully constructed digital trail leading straight back to Helix Innovations. Dr. Santos returned for her evening rounds, raising an eyebrow at my tablet. You should be resting, Mrs. Hayes. The Foundation can survive without you for a few days. If she only knew that while she'd been removing my gallbladder, I'd been remotely orchestrating the biggest pharmaceutical merger in recent history. The small charity Nathan loved to dismiss had been my cover for building a global biotech empire right under his nose. Another message from Diana confirmed that everything was proceeding according to plan. Legal team ready. Documentation of Viber unauthorized transfer complete. Surveillance confirms targets still on site. Security stationed at all exits. I closed my eyes, not from fatigue, but to visualize the next steps. Nathan thought he was being clever.
Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story.
Using my surgery as cover to empty our account. He had no idea that his betrayal would trigger a sequence of events that would reshape the entire pharmaceutical industry. The sunset painted San Francisco's skyline in shades of gold, visible from my private hospital room. Somewhere in Sausalito, Nathan and Madison were planning their future with money they thought was his. Soon they would learn that every decision, every promotion, every deal he'd bragged about had been orchestrated by the wife he'd underestimated for 9 years. Mason's final update for the evening flashed across my screen. All systems go for tomorrow's board meeting. Every division head confirmed their support. The press release is ready. I sent back a simple acknowledgement, knowing that while I recovered from surgery, my carefully built empire was about to step out of the shadows. The night nurse brought my evening medications, along with another message from Nathan. Working. Late again, sweetheart. Don't worry about the foundation. Focus on getting better. 9 years of marriage, and he still saw exactly what he wanted to see. A simple wife who couldn't possibly understand his important business dealings. I drifted off to sleep as the medication took hold, knowing that tomorrow would change everything. Nathan hadn't just betrayed his wife today. He'd stolen from his CEO, and I had the documentation to prove every cent of it. The morning light filtered through my hospital room window as I reviewed the detailed report from my security team. The surveillance footage told quite a story. Nathan and Madison had spent the entire night at the Sausalito property, planning renovations with an architect who charged more than most people's annual salary. The architect's invoice had already hit Nathan's credit card, a card tied to an account I secretly controlled. Through my secure tablet, I watched the real-time feed of them sharing breakfast on the deck, Madison wearing a new Cartier bracelet that matched the charges on our joint credit card from 2 days ago. The same card Nathan had used to buy my birthday presents, unknowingly using profits from my own company. Diana's morning briefing appeared in my encrypted messages. Full financial audit complete. Total unauthorized transfers in the last month. $4, $2 million property purchase, jewelry, luxury car lease, and significant cash withdrawals. All documented and time-stamped. My hospital room door opened, and Dr. Santos entered with her morning rounds team. Mrs. Hayes, your recovery is progressing exceptionally well. We might be able to discharge you tomorrow morning. Perfect timing. The pieces were already in motion for what would happen at tomorrow afternoon's board meeting. As the medical team examined my surgical site, another alert flashed across my tablet. Madison had just accessed Vertex Biotech's secure servers, using Nathan's executive credentials to download confidential research data. What she didn't realize was that every keystroke was being logged by Helix Innovations security systems. Mason's update confirmed my suspicions. Target B attempting to transfer proprietary research data to private server. All access logged and tracked. Legal team standing by. I had to admire Madison's ambition, even if her methods were sloppy. She wasn't just after Nathan's money. She was trying to position herself for a bigger play. The irony was delicious. While Madison thought she was stealing valuable research data from Vertex Biotech, she was actually leaving a perfect trail of corporate espionage that led straight back to her. Every document she downloaded added another layer to the case I was building. A nurse brought in my lunch tray along with a massive bouquet of roses. The card read, "To my devoted wife, rest and don't worry about a thing. I'm handling everything. Love, Nathan." The security feed showed him picking out those same roses with Madison at his side, both of them laughing at some private joke. Diana's next message detailed the morning's developments. Madison Blake's background check complete. Previous incidents of corporate espionage at 3 firms. Currently under SEC investigation for insider trading. Nathan's personnel file shows he hired her despite red flags from HR. I sipped my hospital tea, watching through the security feed as Nathan and Madison reviewed floor plans for the Sausalito house. They were planning to gut the historic interior, a renovation that would require millions more than what they'd already stolen. I could see Nathan pulling up our joint account on his phone, probably calculating how much more he could siphon away while I was conveniently hospitalized. A gentle knock at the door announced the arrival of Elena Martinez, my head of legal affairs disguised as a hospital volunteer. She carried a flower arrangement that concealed a secure tablet with urgent documents requiring my signature. "The transfer paperwork is ready," she whispered. "One signature and the property reverts to Helix Holdings." I signed the digital documents while maintaining casual conversation about flower arrangements for the charity gala, keeping up appearances for any prying eyes. Elena left as quietly as she had arrived, taking with her the authorization that would begin dismantling Nathan's carefully constructed facade. The afternoon brought more revelations. Mason's team had uncovered a series of emails between Nathan and Madison dating back 6 months, long before he'd hired her at Vertex. Their plan had been simple: use Nathan's position to access proprietary research data, then sell it to competitors while using my supposed savings to fund their new life together. Another message from Diana made me smile despite my post-surgical discomfort. Offshore accounts located. They've been attempting to transfer the research data to a competitor in Singapore. The same competitor we acquired last month through a shell corporation. The security feed showed Nathan and Madison now in the house's wine cellar, probably selecting bottles from what they thought was their collection. Each bottle they touched was worth more than Madison's monthly salary. Not that either of them would be earning salaries much longer. Dr. Santos returned for evening rounds, noting my improved vital signs. "Whatever you're smiling about must be good for your recovery," she observed. If she only knew that while she'd been monitoring my health, I'd been monitoring an elaborate corporate sting operation from my hospital bed. As night fell over San Francisco, Mason's final report confirmed everything was in place. All evidence secured. Board members briefed individually. Security teams positioned at all relevant locations. Awaiting your signal for tomorrow's meeting. I watched the evening's security feed with a sense of calm satisfaction. Nathan and Madison were celebrating in their stolen house, drinking my wine, wearing jewelry bought with my money, and planning their future with resources they'd taken while I was in surgery. Their celebration would be short-lived. Another text from Nathan lit up my phone. "Don't worry about coming home tomorrow, darling. The house is being painted and the fumes wouldn't. Be good for your recovery. I'll book you a spa suite at the Four Seasons." The security feed showed him sending this message while lounging in the Sausalito house's master bedroom with Madison, both of them working on laptops containing stolen corporate data. Tomorrow, they would learn that every file they'd stolen, every dollar they'd transferred, and every plan they'd made had been monitored and documented. Nathan wouldn't just lose his position at Vertex Biotech. He'd discover that his entire career had been orchestrated by the wife he'd dismissed as a simple charity worker. The night nurse brought my final round of medications as I sent one. Last message to Diana. Execute Protocol Omega at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Let's show them what a charity worker can do. I drifted off to sleep, knowing that when I walked out of this hospital tomorrow, I wouldn't just be recovering from surgery. I'd be emerging as the revealed CEO of one of the largest pharmaceutical conglomerates in the world. The morning of my hospital discharge brought a flurry of activity. My team had been working through the night, setting every piece in motion while maintaining the illusion that I was nothing more than a recovering patient. Dr. Santos completed my final examination as my phone quietly buzzed with updates from key players across my organization. Diana Wu, my CFO, had orchestrated a masterful sequence of financial maneuvers. Her message was concise. Asian markets closing strong. European partners confirmed for video conference. Legal teams positioned in Singapore, London, and New York. Key investors notified of imminent announcement. Mason coordinated with the hospital's security team to ensure my departure would go unnoticed by anyone watching. The last thing we needed was Nathan or Madison discovering I'd been discharged ahead of schedule. As far as they knew, I was still heavily medicated and sleeping off my surgery. Through my secure network, I watched multiple video feeds tracking both of them. Nathan had arrived early at Vertex Biotech's headquarters, strutting through the lobby like he owned the place. If he'd bothered to read the fine print of his employment contract, he might have noticed who actually owned the building he worked in. Madison was making her own moves, methodically downloading research data she thought would set them up for life. The security team tracked every file she accessed, every email she sent, every phone call she made. She was thorough. I had to give her that. Too bad she didn't know the competing firm she'd been in contact with was another one of my subsidiaries. A discreet knock at my hospital room door revealed Elena, my head of legal affairs, again disguised as a volunteer. "The board members are assembling now," she whispered, helping me into a wheelchair for show. "Everyone's in position. We've even arranged for that reporter from the Wall Street Journal to be there, the one who's been investigating Nathan's previous company for financial irregularities." Dr. Santos signed my discharge papers, reminding me to take it easy. "No stress, Mrs. Hayes. Focus on your recovery." I smiled, knowing that what I was about to do would be far more therapeutic than any prescribed rest. The drive from the hospital to Helix Tower took exactly 23 minutes. Diana had timed the traffic lights to ensure we'd arrive precisely when needed. Through my tablet, I watched Nathan begin his morning executive meeting at Vertex, bragging about an imminent partnership deal that he thought he'd orchestrated. In reality, every negotiation had been carefully staged by my team. Madison sat in her office, finalizing transfers of what she believed was groundbreaking research data. The files she'd stolen were actually elaborate decoys, each one tagged, with invisible markers that would prove corporate espionage. My security team had even planted a few secret documents that would lead to dead ends, watching as she eagerly took the bait. Inside Helix Tower's private elevator, I changed from my hospital clothes into a tailored Chanel suit that Diana had waiting for me. The transformation from recovering patient to CEO had to be perfect. Every detail mattered. Mason's voice came through my earpiece. "Nathan just announced to his team that he's buying a yacht to celebrate the upcoming merger. He's using the corporate credit line, your corporate credit line, to finance it." I almost admired his audacity. Almost. The upper floors of Helix Tower held my real office, not the modest charity workspace Nathan occasionally visited. Here, walls of screens displayed global operations, research data, and market analytics. This was the command center of an empire I'd built while being underestimated by everyone, especially my husband. Diana met me in the executive suite, tablet in hand. Everyone's in place. Board members, legal team, security. Even that ambitious intern Nathan's been trying to impress with his business acumen. "Are you sure you're up for this? You just had surgery yesterday." I straightened my jacket, checking my reflection. In the floor-to-ceiling windows. "Trust me, Diana, this will be better than any pain medication." Through the glass, I could see the San Francisco skyline. including the Vertex Biotech building where Nathan was about to have the surprise of his life. Elena arrived with the final paperwork. The SEC has been notified about Madison's activities. They're particularly interested in her previous pattern of corporate espionage. It seems she's done this before, but never to a company with our level of security. The board members began filing into the conference room, each one nodding respectfully. These powerful industry figures had kept my secret for years, watching as I built Helix Innovations into a global powerhouse while maintaining the cover of a simple charity director. The Wall Street Journal reporter was shown to a discreet corner, notepad ready. She thought she was here for a standard corporate merger announcement. Instead, she was about to witness one of the biggest revelations in pharmaceutical industry history. Mason's update came through. Nathan and Madison just received the meeting notification. They think it's about finalizing the merger they've been working on. They're on their way up now. Perfect timing. Through the security feeds, I watched them enter the building together. Nathan straightening his tie, the one I'd given him last Christmas, paid for with profits from my company. Madison clutched her tablet, probably containing all the stolen research data she thought would make them rich. The elevator would take exactly 90 seconds to reach the executive floor. In that time, my team had already frozen their access to all corporate systems, flagged their banking transactions, and initiated the property reclamation process for the Sausalito house. Diana handed me one last report. Their offshore accounts have been located and frozen. The competitor they thought they were selling to has confirmed all their communications. The evidence is ironclad. I took my place at the head of the boardroom table, surrounded by the most powerful people in the pharmaceutical industry. The screens behind me displayed Helix Innovations' global operations, with Vertex Biotech shown as just one small subsidiary in a vast corporate empire. The elevator chimed. It was showtime. After 9 years of playing the underestimated wife, I was about to show Nathan and Madison exactly who they'd tried to steal from. I heard their voices in the corridor, confident and casual, having no idea that their world was about to change forever. Diana whispered one last question. "Are you ready for this?" I smiled, feeling stronger than any post-surgery patient should. "I've been ready for 9 years. Let's show them what a charity worker can really do." The boardroom doors swung open, revealing Nathan and Madison in mid-conversation about their dinner plans at the Sausalito house. They froze mid-step, confusion flickering across their faces as they took in the scene before them. The city's most powerful pharmaceutical executives sat around the massive conference table, all eyes fixed on the couple who thought they'd been so clever. Madison recovered first, her legal training kicking in as she scanned the room, noting the Wall Street Journal reporter in the corner and the SEC representatives by the window. Her fingers tightened around her tablet, the one containing all the stolen research data she thought would set them up for life. Nathan's expression shifted from confusion to concern as he spotted me at the head of the table. "Olivia, shouldn't you be in the hospital? What are you doing here?" His eyes darted between the board members, clearly trying to make sense of why his wife was sitting in the CEO's chair. Diana stepped forward, her CFO persona now fully visible beneath her usual reserved demeanor. "Mr. Hayes, Ms. Blake, thank you for joining us. Please take a seat. We have some matters to discuss regarding unauthorized financial transactions and corporate espionage." The color drained from Nathan's face as security guards discreetly moved to block the exits. Mason appeared at his shoulder, smoothly relieving Madison of her tablet. "I'll need to secure this device as evidence," he said, his tone professional but firm. "Evidence? What evidence? What is this about?" Nathan's voice cracked slightly as he tried to maintain his executive demeanor. "I'm the executive vice president of Vertex Biotech." "You can't just—" "Actually," I interrupted, pressing a button that illuminated the screens behind me. "You're an employee of Helix Innovations, the parent company that owns Vertex Biotech. The same company I founded 15 years ago. The same company you've been stealing from while I was in surgery." The room's atmosphere shifted as the screens displayed a comprehensive timeline. Nathan's hiring, his promotions, all orchestrated by me, and most recently, his unauthorized financial activities. Beside it, Madison's corporate espionage. Attempts were detailed in damning clarity. "This is ridiculous," Madison stepped forward, her legal mind already formulating defenses. "I've never even heard of Helix Innovations. I work for Vertex Biotech, and any proprietary information I've accessed was within my clearance level." Elena slid a thick folder across the table. "Your clearance level didn't extend to the classified research data you attempted to sell to our Singapore subsidiary." "Yes, Ms. Blake. That competitor you've been in contact with? They work for me, too." Nathan slumped into a chair, his world visibly crumbling as he finally began to understand. The merger negotiations, the research partnerships, all of it? "All orchestrated by your wife," Diana confirmed, pulling up more financial data. "The same wife whose joint savings account you emptied while she was having emergency surgery. $3.5 million, transferred to purchase a property that, ironically, already belonged to Helix Innovations through a shell corporation." The Wall Street Journal reporter's pen moved rapidly across her notepad, documenting every detail of this corporate drama. Nathan's eyes fixed on the Cartier bracelet on Madison's wrist, the one he'd bought with stolen money just days ago. "But the charity foundation?" he sputtered. "The fundraisers, the galas?" "An excellent cover," I responded, standing, despite my recent surgery. "It's amazing how much business you can conduct when people underestimate you. How many deals did I close while you thought I was discussing table centerpieces? How many mergers did I orchestrate while you mansplained basic business concepts to me at dinner parties?" Madison's legal training kicked in again as she tried to salvage the situation. Any transactions made were authorized by Nathan as an executive officer. The property purchase was a legitimate use of joint funds. Elena smiled, sliding another document forward. "You mean these funds?" The screen behind me displayed the complex web of financial transfers, all leading back to Helix Innovations. Every dollar in that joint account came from quarterly dividends from my company. The company you both tried to steal from. "The board has reviewed the evidence," Diana announced, her voice carrying authority that made Nathan flinch. "Unauthorized transfer of funds, attempted corporate espionage, misuse of company resources. The list is quite extensive." The SEC representatives moved closer, their presence adding weight to the proceedings. Madison's confident facade cracked as she realized the full extent of their investigation. Her previous incidents of corporate espionage would now come to light, ending any chance of a future legal career. "You can't do this." Nathan stood suddenly, his face flushed. "I built Vertex Biotech. I made it successful." "No, Nathan," I corrected him quietly. "You took credit for success that was carefully orchestrated by your wife. Every major decision you made was approved by my board. Every deal you claimed was negotiated through my networks. You were never more than a middle manager with an inflated title." The screens shifted to display the Sausalito property, their celebration dinner from the previous night still visible on the security feeds. "The house has already been reclaimed," Mason informed them, "along with all purchases made using misappropriated funds." "But," Nathan's voice faltered as the full reality of his situation sank in. "Where are we supposed to go? What am I supposed to do?" I pressed another button, bringing up their new employment contracts. "Given the extent of your financial misconduct, you have two choices. Option 1. Face criminal charges for theft and corporate espionage. Option 2. Accept positions within Helix Innovations where you can repay your debt to the company through honest work." Madison's eyes widened as she saw the job titles: mailroom clerks, entry-level positions with strict oversight, and zero access to sensitive information. The ultimate humiliation for an executive and a corporate lawyer who'd thought they were too clever to get caught. "This is absurd," she protested, but her voice lacked conviction. The evidence was overwhelming, her carefully planned betrayal exposed in devastating detail. "No, Ms. Blake," I corrected her. "What's absurd is thinking you could steal from a company without bothering to find out who really owned it. What's absurd is underestimating a woman simply because her husband told you she was nothing more than a charity worker." The board members watched silently, many of them hiding small smiles. They'd known my true identity for years, watching as I built an empire while maintaining the perfect cover of an underestimated wife. "You have until tomorrow morning to decide," Diana informed them, sliding over the employment agreements. "Though, given the SEC's interest in your activities, I'd suggest deciding much sooner." The morning sun streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows of my executive office as I reviewed the signed employment contracts. Nathan and Madison's signatures looked shaky, their once confident strokes now uncertain marks on paper that sealed their fate. Mason had delivered the contracts at dawn, along with their company badges. No longer executive credentials, but basic employee IDs that would only grant them access to the mailroom floor. Through the security feeds, I watched them arrive. Separately for their first day, gone were the designer suits and confident strides. Nathan wore off-the-rack business casual, while Madison had traded her Louboutins for practical flats. They avoided eye contact with each other as they received their orientation from the mailroom supervisor. Diana entered my office with the morning reports, a hint of satisfaction in her usually stoic demeanor. "The financial press is having a field day. Biotech Queen's strategic genius, how Olivia Chen built an empire in plain sight, is trending across all major business networks. The Wall Street Journal piece has gone viral." My tablet lit up with updates from our global offices. The Singapore merger was proceeding smoothly. Our European partnerships were strengthening, and the stock price had jumped 12% since yesterday's revelation. The business world was fascinated by the story of the underestimated wife who'd built a pharmaceutical empire, while her husband bragged about his imaginary success. The SEC investigation into Madison's previous corporate espionage activities is expanding, Elena reported, joining us with fresh legal documents. 3 other companies have come forward with similar incidents. She'll be working in our mailroom for a very long time to avoid prosecution. A notification popped up on my screen, a message from the real estate agent handling the Sausalito property. The house had already been returned to company ownership, its brief tenure as Nathan and Madison's love nest now just another failed attempt at betrayal. Mason's security feed showed Nathan struggling with the mail cart, his hands unused. To actual work. "He's been assigned to the research department's mail route," Mason noted with a subtle smirk. "He'll be delivering documents to the same scientists whose work he used to take credit for." The feed switched to Madison, methodically sorting inter-office envelopes with the same attention to detail she'd once used to steal corporate secrets. Her new supervisor was explaining the color coding system for different departments, a far cry from the legal strategies she'd planned to employ against my company. Dr. Santos arrived for my post-surgery checkup, raising an eyebrow at the scene playing out on my office screens. "I assume this is better than bed rest?" she asked, checking my surgical site with professional efficiency. "Much better," I confirmed, watching as Nathan dropped a stack of mail, scattering envelopes across the floor. The security feed caught his expression, a mix of humiliation and dawning comprehension as he realized this was his new reality. Elena brought in more reports. The board's official statement about the leadership restructuring, press releases about our expanding global presence, and documentation of every cent Nathan and Madison had attempted to steal. "The Charity Foundation has received an unprecedented number of donations since the story broke," she added. "Apparently, everyone loves the idea of philanthropy with a steel backbone." Through my office windows, I could see the Vertex Biotech building where Nathan had once strutted through the halls, claiming credit for successes that had been orchestrated from this very room. Now he would learn the value of honest work, one mail delivery at a time. Diana's financial team had traced every transaction, every attempt at hiding their theft. The Cartier bracelet had been returned, the planned yacht purchase canceled, and their frozen offshore accounts had revealed connections to other attempted corporate espionage. Madison's legal career was effectively over, her reputation in tatters. The other employees are adapting well to the revelation, Mason reported, switching the feed to various office locations. Morale has actually improved now that they know. The company is led by someone who built it from the ground up, rather than claimed credit for others' work. A message from the board chairman appeared on my screen, congratulating me on the smooth transition and the positive market response. The pharmaceutical industry was buzzing with the story, but not just because of the scandal. Our research breakthroughs, strategic acquisitions, and innovative management structure were finally getting the recognition they deserved. Nathan's former executive team has requested a meeting, Diana mentioned, checking her tablet. They want to apologize for not recognizing your role sooner. Several of them admitted they'd noticed discrepancies between his claimed accomplishments and actual results. The security feed showed Madison taking her lunch break alone in the mailroom, her designer lunch bag a stark contrast to the industrial break room. Her phone lay silent. Her former legal contacts had quickly distanced themselves once the SEC investigation became public. Through another camera, Nathan could be seen pushing his mail cart past the executive conference room where he used to hold court. Several board members were visible through the glass, reviewing the latest research developments that had actually been initiated by my team years ago. The Singapore team sent their congratulations, Elena added, showing me messages from our international partners. They said they always wondered how Vertex achieved such perfect alignment with Helix's objectives. Now they know they were actually working with you all along. Mason's afternoon security report detailed the new protocols for monitoring our former executives turned mail clerks. Every envelope they handled was tracked, every movement recorded, their access limited to prevent any further attempts at corporate theft. A final message from Dr. Santos confirmed my surgical recovery was progressing well, though she suggested limiting my working hours. She didn't understand that watching Nathan and Madison adapt to their new roles was better than any prescribed. First, Diana brought in the latest market analysis as the trading day neared its close. Helix Innovations had become the talk of the financial world, not just for the dramatic revelation of its true leadership, but for its robust research pipeline and strategic global positioning. Tomorrow's schedule is packed with investor calls, she noted. Everyone wants to know how we maintained such perfect corporate synchronization while appearing to be separate entities. The business schools are already writing case studies. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across my office as I watched Nathan and Madison complete their first day in the mailroom. Their shoulders slumped with exhaustion, their former confidence replaced by the quiet humility of those who had learned an expensive lesson about underestimating the wrong person. Through the glass walls, I could see my empire stretching across the city skyline, each building a testament to what could be built, while others saw only what they expected to see. In the end, their greatest mistake wasn't the theft or the betrayal. It was believing that a woman's success had to be measured by her husband's standards. The Global Investor Conference at San Francisco's Grand Hyatt buzzed with anticipation. Financial reporters crowded the entrance, their cameras ready to capture what promised to be the most talked-about corporate revelation of the year. Diana had orchestrated every detail of this public announcement, ensuring that the world would understand exactly how I'd built Helix Innovations while being dismissed as nothing more than a corporate wife. Through my private entrance, I watched the monitors showing Nathan and Madison arriving for their mailroom shifts, blissfully unaware that their morning delivery routes would be interrupted by a very public revelation. The conference hall's massive screens displayed real-time market data, research breakthroughs, and global partnerships, all achievements they had once tried to claim as their own. Mrs. Chen, Mason approached with the final security briefing. All major financial networks are broadcasting live. The SEC representatives are seated in the front row, and we've confirmed attendance from every major pharmaceutical CEO in the country." He paused, checking his tablet. "Nathan's being called up to deliver mail to the conference room now." Elena adjusted my Armani suit, a power statement worlds away from the hospital gown I'd worn just days ago. "The legal team is ready. We've prepared responses to every possible question about the corporate restructuring and the recent personnel adjustments." The grand ballroom had been transformed into a corporate command center. Screens showed our operations across 3 continents, each one representing another piece of the empire I'd built while playing the role of a simple charity worker. The Wall Street Journal reporter who'd witnessed the boardroom confrontation sat front and center, her article about my hidden empire having already gone viral. Diana's voice came through my earpiece. "Nathan's approaching the conference hall. Madison's been assigned to deliver packages to the media area. Perfect timing." Through the security feeds, I watched my husband push his mail cart toward the grand entrance, his new polyester uniform a far cry from the bespoke suits he once wore. The lights dimmed as I took my place behind the stage. The audience fell silent. Hundreds of the world's most powerful business leaders waiting to hear from the woman who'd orchestrated one of the most remarkable corporate revelations in recent history. "Ladies and gentlemen," Diana began, her voice carrying across the hushed room, "please welcome the founder and CEO of Helix Innovations, Dr. Olivia Chen." I emerged into the spotlight just as Nathan entered through the service door, his mail cart forgotten as he froze at the sight of his wife commanding the attention of every major player in the pharmaceutical industry. In the media section, Madison dropped her package, her face draining of color as she realized what was about to happen. "Good morning," I began, my voice steady and strong. "Many of you know me as Nathan Hayes' wife, the woman who runs a small charity foundation. Today, I'd like to tell you about what I've actually been building while being underestimated." The screens behind me came alive with data, stock prices, research breakthroughs, global acquisitions. Each slide represented another achievement that Nathan had once claimed as his own, now revealed to be part of my carefully orchestrated empire. Helix Innovations began 15 years ago with a vision of revolutionizing pharmaceutical research. I continued, watching as Nathan sank into a chair near the back, his mail cart abandoned. While some focused on taking credit, we focused on creating change. The presentation shifted to our global operations: labs in Singapore, research centers in Switzerland, distribution networks across Asia, all controlled from my supposedly simple charity office. Madison had found a corner to hide in, her face a mask of comprehension as she realized the true scope of the company she'd tried to steal from. "Our success wasn't built on grand pronouncements or executive egos," I said, my gaze meeting Nathan's across the crowded room. "It was built on careful strategy, hidden excellence, and the remarkable power of being underestimated." The audience leaned forward as I detailed our latest breakthroughs: cancer treatments that would revolutionize patient care, research partnerships that would transform the industry, achievements that went far beyond the small victories Nathan had bragged about at dinner parties. "Some of you may have heard about recent events at our Vertex Biotech subsidiary," I continued, watching Madison flinch at the reference. "A failed attempt at corporate espionage that revealed a deeper truth. Success doesn't belong to those who claim it loudest, but to those who build it most carefully." The screens displayed the organizational structure of Helix Innovations, showing Vertex as just one small part of a vast corporate network. Nathan's former executive position appeared several levels. Below my role as CEO, his imagined importance now revealed as another layer of carefully maintained illusion. "We've maintained multiple corporate identities," I explained, "allowing us to innovate without the constraints of ego or the limitations of conventional thinking. While some focused on claiming credit, we focused on creating change." The financial data drew gasps from the audience: profit margins that dwarfed industry standards, research budgets that rivaled major universities, global partnerships that spanned continents. Each achievement had been orchestrated from behind the scenes while Nathan boasted about his business acumen. Tomorrow's press release will announce our full corporate integration, I announced, watching the reporters furiously taking notes. Vertex Biotech will be fully absorbed into Helix Innovations, streamlining our operations and revealing the true scope of our research capabilities. Through the security feeds, I could see Nathan attempting to slip out unnoticed, only to be stopped by Mason's security team. This was one presentation he needed to watch completely, a lesson in humility served with irrefutable evidence of his own irrelevance. We've also initiated new corporate policies, I continued, as the screens displayed our updated organizational structure. Merit-based advancement, thorough security protocols, and a commitment to recognizing talent regardless of title or connection. The audience erupted in applause as I outlined our vision for the future. Groundbreaking research, global expansion, and a corporate culture built on genuine achievement rather than borrowed glory. In the back of the room, Nathan and Madison stood like statues, watching their world of pretense crumble in the face of actual accomplishment. In conclusion, I said, my voice carrying the weight of 15 years of hidden triumph, let this serve as a reminder. True power doesn't need to announce itself. Sometimes the quietest voice in the room belongs to the person who owns the building. The standing ovation that followed drowned out the sound of Nathan's mail cart being wheeled away, its mundane contents a fitting symbol of his new reality. Madison had already disappeared, probably seeking refuge in the mailroom where she now belonged. As camera flashes filled the room and reporters clamored for comments, I caught one last glimpse of my husband through the security feed. He stood in the service corridor, his borrowed glory stripped away, finally understanding that while he'd been playing at success, his underestimated wife had built an empire. The aftermath of the investor conference rippled through every floor of Helix Tower. I sat in my executive office, watching multiple screens as the business world tried to process what they'd witnessed. CNBC ran continuous coverage of the revelation, financial analysts debated the implications, and social media exploded with memes about the mail clerk who used to think he was a CEO. Diana entered with fresh market reports, her normally composed face brightening with satisfaction. Stocks up 28% and climbing. The Singapore merger is trending on every financial platform, and 7 major investment banks have upgraded our rating to strong buy. Through the security feed, I observed Nathan mechanically sorting mail in the basement level. His hands, once used to gesturing grandly during executive presentations, now fumbled with inter-office envelopes. The designer watch he'd bragged about at dinner parties, actually paid for with my company's profits, had been replaced by a basic timepiece suitable for his new position. Ms. Blake is requesting an urgent meeting, Mason reported, handing me another security update. She claims to have information about other corporate espionage attempts at Vertex that could be valuable to us. Have her submit the information through proper channels, I replied, watching Madison's feed as she paced in the mailroom break area. She can file a formal report with her supervisor, just like any other entry-level employee. Elena arrived, with a stack of newspapers, each headline more dramatic than the last. Biotech's hidden queen reveals empire, proclaimed the Wall Street Journal. Executive's wife was actually his boss, declared the Financial Times. Our PR team had been flooded, with interview requests from every major business publication. The research team would like to know if they should still pretend not to understand basic science when Nathan delivers their mail, Diana asked, a rare smile playing at her lips. For years, brilliant scientists had dumbed down their work for him, watching as he took credit for their innovations in executive meetings. A message flashed across my screen from our Singapore partners. Merger proceeding ahead of schedule. Board extremely impressed with strategic vision. Congratulations on masterful revelation of true leadership. Mason's security team had cataloged everything from the Sausalito house. The architects Nathan hired have been informed that the renovation plans are canceled, he reported. They were quite surprised to learn their client is now working in a mailroom. Through another feed, I watched Madison attempting to network with other employees during her lunch break. One by one, they moved away from her table, no one wanting to associate with the former lawyer who'd tried to steal corporate secrets. Her designer lunch bag sat unopened, her appetite apparently diminished by her spectacular fall from grace. The board members have submitted their formal statements, Elena added, pulling up more documents on her tablet. They're quite eloquent about how they've known your true identity all along. Several mentioned how difficult it was not to laugh during Nathan's presentations about his supposed business strategies. A notification appeared from Dr. Santos. My post-surgery recovery was progressing well, though she noted my blood pressure had improved remarkably since the revelation. Apparently, exposing my husband's betrayal while demonstrating my corporate genius was excellent for my health. Diana's financial team had completed their audit of Nathan and Madison's attempted theft. Total unauthorized expenses came to just over $4 million, she reported, including the Sausalito property, jewelry, planned yacht purchase, and various business dinners that were actually romantic getaways. The security feed showed Nathan encountering his former executive assistant, now several levels above him in the corporate hierarchy. She didn't bother hiding her smirk as she handed him a stack of mail to deliver, remembering how he'd once lectured her about corporate ladder climbing. The charity foundation has received an interesting proposal, Elena mentioned, pulling up another email. They'd like to establish a scholarship program for women in business, specifically focused on hidden leadership and strategic empowerment. They suggest calling it the Chen Initiative for Corporate Excellence. Mason's afternoon report detailed the new security protocols for our mailroom employees. Nathan and Madison's access badges only work in designated areas, he confirmed. Any attempt to enter restricted zones triggers an immediate alert. Though watching them deliver mail to their former colleagues seems like security enough. Through the windows of my office, I could see the Vertex building where Nathan had once held court, believing himself to be a corporate genius. Now it stood as just another asset in my global empire, its operations seamlessly integrated into Helix's larger vision. The TZ research team sent their regards, Diana added, showing me more congratulatory messages. They said they always wondered why their most innovative proposals were approved despite Nathan's obvious confusion during presentations. Now they know they were actually pitching to you all along. Madison's security feed showed her struggling. With the mailroom's sorting system, her legal training useless in the face of actual organizational work. The colored labels she'd once dismissed as beneath her now determined whether she'd complete her shift without error. The Harvard Business Review is requesting an interview, Elena noted. They're particularly interested in how we maintained perfect corporate alignment while appearing to be separate entities. Several business schools have already requested case studies. A final message appeared from the board chairman. 15 years of brilliant strategy revealed in one masterful stroke. The industry will be studying this for decades. Nathan's last mail delivery of the day took him past the executive conference room where he'd once dominated meetings with misplaced confidence. Through the glass walls, he could see global partners on video conference screens, all of them now, openly dealing with me rather than my undermined subsidiary managers. As the sun set over San Francisco, casting long shadows through my floor-to-ceiling windows, I watched the final security feeds of the day. Nathan and Madison left separately, both avoiding the executive elevator they'd once used, both understanding that their world had permanently changed. Diana brought in the closing market reports. Helix Innovations had gained more value in one day than Vertex Biotech had achieved in 5 years under Nathan's supposed leadership. The business world hadn't just witnessed a corporate revelation. They'd seen the triumph of genuine achievement over borrowed glory. The morning headlines blared across every major financial network, each one dissecting a different aspect of the Helix Innovations revelation. Asian markets had reacted overnight, sending our stocks soaring to unprecedented heights. European exchanges followed suit, and Wall Street analysts were predicting the biggest single-day gain in pharmaceutical industry history. My private elevator opened directly into the executive suite, where Diana waited with the morning's most crucial updates. The Singapore merger has been finalized ahead of schedule. Our partners were particularly impressed by how we maintained complete corporate secrecy while orchestrating global operations. They're calling it the most sophisticated business strategy they've ever encountered. Through the security feeds, I watched the early morning mailroom shift begin. Nathan arrived wearing a department store suit that barely resembled his former tailored wardrobe. His coveted parking space near the executive entrance had been reassigned. Now he took the service elevator from the basement level. Elena rushed in, tablet in hand, her expression animated. The SEC investigation into Madison's previous activities has expanded. 3 more companies have come forward with evidence of corporate espionage attempts. Her legal license suspension hearing is scheduled for next week. On one of my monitors, Madison could be seen organizing the morning mail cart, her perfectly manicured hands now handling bulk mail instead of confidential legal documents. Her attempts to establish a network among other employees had failed spectacularly. No one wanted to risk association with a confirmed corporate spy. The property management team has completed the Sausalito house inspection, Mason reported. All personal items have been removed and cataloged. The renovation plans Nathan commissioned would have cost another $2 million, money he thought he'd get from selling stolen research data. Dr. Santos arrived for my final post-surgery checkup, commenting on my remarkably swift recovery. "Whatever stress you've eliminated from your life clearly agrees with you," she observed, noting my improved vital signs. "Though I suspect running a global pharmaceutical empire might be considered stressful by some standards." The boardroom buzzed with activity as international partners joined via video conference. Research teams from Singapore, manufacturing divisions from Switzerland, and distribution networks across Asia, all reporting directly to me now, no longer hidden behind layers of corporate subterfuge. The Charity Foundation's annual gala has received unprecedented interest, Diana mentioned, showing me the guest list. Every major pharmaceutical CEO wants to attend. They're fascinated by how we used charitable events as cover for corporate negotiations. Through the security feed, I watched Nathan deliver mail to his former executive suite. His replacement, a brilliant strategist I'd been quietly mentoring for years, barely glanced up as he placed the mail on her desk. The nameplate she'd had installed made him flinch. Dr. Sarah Chen, Executive Director of Research Integration. Madison's attempt to access restricted servers has been documented and added to the SEC filing, Mason noted. Her personal devices revealed communication with 3 other pharmaceutical companies. She was planning to sell our research data to the highest bidder. Elena brought in more press requests. Forbes wants you for their cover story, The Queen of Biotech, How Olivia Chen Built a Global Empire in Plain Sight. Time magazine is interested in a feature about women who transform industries from behind the scenes. The screens in my office displayed real-time data from our global operations. Research breakthroughs in oncology, revolutionary treatments for rare diseases, manufacturing innovations that would transform patient care, all achievements that had been orchestrated from my supposedly simple charity office. The Harvard Business School case study is already being written, Diana reported. They're particularly interested in how we maintained perfect corporate alignment while appearing to be separate entities. Several professors have requested interviews about strategic management in the digital age. Madison's security feed showed her struggling with a paper jam in the mailroom copier. Her former legal expertise offered no help with actual mechanical problems. The maintenance supervisor, who had once brought her coffee during high-level meetings, now watched with barely concealed amusement as she fought with the machine. The board has approved the new corporate structure, Elena announced, displaying the organizational chart. Vertex Biotech will be fully integrated into Helix's research division by the end of the quarter. all operations will finally be unified, under single leadership. Nathan's afternoon mail route took him past the research laboratories where he'd once strutted through, claiming credit for innovations he barely understood. Now the scientists barely looked up from their work as he silently delivered their correspondence, their groundbreaking research finally recognized under its true leadership. The London office sent their congratulations, Mason added. They said watching Nathan try to explain complex pharmaceutical patents during video conferences was painful. They're relieved to be working directly with someone who actually understands the science. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I could see the city skyline dotted with buildings that housed different parts of my empire. Each one represented another piece of the puzzle I'd built while being dismissed as nothing more than a corporate wife with a charity hobby. The Wall Street Journal piece has gone viral, Diana noted, showing me the online metrics. Business schools are already incorporating it into their curriculum. The comments section is filled with stories from women who've been underestimated in their own careers. A message flashed across my screen from our chief research officer in Singapore. Finally worked with the real CEO. Your understanding of molecular biology makes Nathan's attempts at scientific discussion even more amusing, in retrospect. As the afternoon sun cast long shadows across my office, I reviewed the latest market data. Helix Innovations had become the most talked-about pharmaceutical company globally, not just for the dramatic revelation of its true leadership, but for its groundbreaking research and strategic brilliance. The security feed caught Nathan's final mail delivery of the day. He paused in front of his old office, staring at the space where his executive awards had once hung. Now the walls displayed actual research achievements, patents granted under my name, and recognition of true scientific innovation. Madison clocked out from the mailroom, her designer handbag now holding a simple employee handbook instead of stolen corporate documents. Her attempts to network with former legal contacts had been met with silence. No one wanted to associate with someone under SEC investigation. Diana brought in the final reports for the day. Our stock had closed at a record high. The Singapore merger was proceeding ahead of schedule, and 3 new research breakthroughs were ready for patent filing. The business world hadn't just witnessed a corporate takeover, they'd seen the emergence of a hidden empire built on genuine innovation, rather than borrowed glory. The autumn breeze carried the scent of change through San Francisco's financial district as I stood at my office window, watching the early morning fog roll away from Helix Tower. 3 months had passed since the revelation that shook the pharmaceutical industry, and the transformation was evident in every aspect of our operations. A gentle knock announced Diana's arrival with the morning briefing. The European Union has approved our latest cancer treatment protocol. The research team you've been personally mentoring achieved breakthrough status 6 months ahead of schedule. Also, Nathan tried to apply for a position at Medicorp last night. They called us immediately to verify his employment status. Mason appeared with the latest security update, his tablet displaying multiple camera feeds. Madison attempted to access the executive floor again this morning. Her mailroom badge triggered the security protocols. She claimed she was just delivering a package, but the surveillance shows her trying to photograph confidential documents through office windows. The morning light illuminated the expansive research labs visible from my office. Scientists moved purposefully between workstations, their innovations no longer filtered through layers of bureaucracy. Direct access to CEO-level decision-making had accelerated our development pipeline beyond industry standards. The London Stock Exchange opened strong on news of our European expansion, Elena reported, pulling up real-time market data. The Financial Times is running a special feature on how we've revolutionized pharmaceutical research and development since integrating all operations under unified leadership. Through the security feed, I watched Nathan sorting international mail, his movements mechanical and resigned. The designer suits and executive swagger had been replaced by quiet efficiency, the kind that comes from accepting one's true position in life. His mail route now included daily deliveries to the research department where scientists no longer pretended to simplify their work for his benefit. Diana handed me another report, her expression subtly pleased. Madison's legal license has been officially suspended pending the SEC investigation. 3 more companies came forward with evidence of corporate espionage. The district attorney is considering criminal charges. The screens covering my office walls displayed our global operations in real time. Research breakthroughs from Singapore, manufacturing innovations from Switzerland, distribution networks expanding across emerging markets, all operating with unprecedented synergy now that the artificial barriers between subsidiaries had been removed. The Chen Foundation for Women in Innovation has received over 1,000 applications, Elena mentioned, showing me the preliminary data. Young women worldwide are inspired by how you built an empire while being underestimated. Several Fortune 500 companies have offered to sponsor additional scholarships. Mason's security feed caught Madison attempting to network during her lunch break, trying to engage a junior legal assistant in conversation. The assistant quickly moved tables, well aware of the former lawyer's reputation. Madison's designer lunch bag sat unopened, her appetite apparently diminished by continued social isolation. The Harvard Business Review article has become their most read piece this year, Diana noted, displaying the analytics. They're particularly fascinated by how we maintained perfect strategic alignment while appearing to operate as separate entities. Several business schools have updated their curriculum to include our management model. Through the glass walls, I could see the former Vertex Biotech building, now fully integrated into Helix's operations. The signage had been updated, removing the last visible trace of Nathan's imagined corporate empire. Inside, researchers worked directly with global teams, their innovations no longer bottlenecked by executive ego. The Singapore team sent over the latest trial results, Elena reported, her tablet displaying breakthrough data. The cancer treatment protocol you initiated 2 years ago is showing unprecedented success rates. The research team mentioned how refreshing it is to work with someone who actually understands molecular biology. Nathan's afternoon mail route took him past the executive conference room where he once held court. Through the glass walls, he could see international partners on video conference screens, their interactions now marked by genuine scientific discourse rather than superficial business jargon. The Wall Street Journal reporter who covered the initial revelation has won a Pulitzer, Diana mentioned. Her in-depth analysis of how we transformed pharmaceutical research while maintaining a perfect cover has become required reading in business schools. Mason's security team had completed their quarterly audit of the mailroom operations. Nathan and Madison's work performance meets basic standards, he reported, though their attempts to access restricted areas have decreased significantly since we installed the new security protocols. A message flashed across my screen from our chief scientific officer. The research team wanted you to know that our latest breakthrough would have taken years longer under the old management structure. Direct access to CEO-level scientific understanding has transformed our development process. Through the window, I watched the sunset paint the city skyline in shades of gold, each building representing another piece of the empire I'd built while being underestimated. The Sausalito property, now converted into a research retreat center, hosted international scientists collaborating on groundbreaking treatments. Diana brought in the final market reports for the day. Helix Innovations had not just survived the revelation of its true leadership. We had thrived, our stock value tripling as investors recognized the power of genuine innovation unleashed from artificial constraints. Madison's security feed showed her collecting her belongings from the mailroom locker, her once confident demeanor replaced by quiet resignation. Her attempts to leverage her legal background had been met with firm reminders of her current position and the ongoing SEC investigation. Elena delivered one last update before departing. The Pharmaceutical Industry Association has requested you deliver the keynote at their annual conference. The theme is Innovation Through Authentic Leadership. They said your story of building an empire while maintaining scientific integrity perfectly embodies their message. As night fell over San Francisco, I reviewed the global operations one final time. Research teams across 3 continents, manufacturing facilities operating at peak efficiency, distribution networks expanding into new markets, all functioning seamlessly under unified leadership that valued genuine innovation over corporate showmanship. Nathan's last mail delivery of the day included international patents granted under my name, scientific journals featuring our breakthrough research, and invitations to speak at prestigious medical conferences. He placed them carefully on my executive assistant's desk, no longer pretending to understand the complex scientific terminology that had once confused him during board presentations. 6 months after my surgery, Helix Tower's executive floor buzzed with anticipation. The Global Pharmaceutical Conference was about to begin in our newly renovated auditorium, where industry leaders from around the world gathered to witness our latest breakthrough announcement. The same space where Nathan had once stumbled through presentations about research he barely understood would now showcase genuine innovation. Diana arrived early with the morning's vital statistics. The Asian markets have already reacted to rumors of our breakthrough. Singapore exchange hit a record high, and European pre-market trading suggests we'll see similar results when New York opens. She paused, checking another notification. Also, Madison tried to submit her resume to Johnson & Johnson this morning. Their HR department sent it directly to our legal team. Through the security feed, I watched Nathan organizing international parcels in the mailroom. His morning routine had become methodical, almost meditative, a stark contrast to his former theatrical executive performances. The designer watches and custom suits had been sold months ago to help cover his legal fees. The research presentation is ready, Elena announced, entering with a stack of confidential files. Dr. Zhang from Singapore will demonstrate how your early theoretical work laid the foundation for today's breakthrough. The team insisted on crediting you as the original architect of the molecular pathway. Mason's monitors tracked Madison as she attempted to establish contact with a visiting pharmaceutical representative. She tried slipping him her resume. During a mail delivery, he reported, security intercepted it before he left the building. The document contained confidential information she's still legally prohibited from sharing. The morning light streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating the transformed research floors below. Scientists moved with purpose between state-of-the-art laboratories, their innovations no longer constrained by bureaucratic theatrics. Direct collaboration with CEO-level scientific expertise had accelerated our development timeline beyond industry standards. The Chen Foundation's first class of scholars begins their fellowship next week, Diana mentioned, showing me their profiles. 20 brilliant women selected from over 3,000 applicants. Each one reminds me of you. Hidden potential just waiting for the right opportunity to shine. Through the glass walls, I could see the former Vertex building, now seamlessly integrated into Helix's operations. The symbolic transformation was complete. What was once a showcase for Nathan's borrowed glory now housed breakthrough research teams working directly with global partners. Elena brought forward more press inquiries. Nature and Science both want exclusive coverage of today's announcement. The scientific community is particularly interested in how maintaining your cover as a simple charity worker actually facilitated more direct collaboration with research teams. Mason's security feed caught a subtle interaction. Nathan, delivering mail to Madison's workstation, both of them avoiding eye contact. Their failed attempt at betrayal had evolved into mutual discomfort, each blaming the other for their spectacular fall from grace. The Nobel Committee has expressed interest in your theoretical work, Diana mentioned casually, sliding across an elegant envelope. Apparently, your early research papers, published under your married name and largely ignored at the time, predicted the exact molecular mechanism we're announcing today. The auditorium filled with distinguished guests, research directors, pharmaceutical executives, scientific luminaries. Among them sat Nathan and Madison, assigned to handle the event's mail distribution, watching as their former peers discussed innovations they had once tried to steal. "Final security checks are complete," Mason reported. "Though I doubt our mailroom staff will attempt anything today. The SEC investigators in attendance would be particularly interested in any unusual behavior." Dr. Zhang appeared on the video wall, live from our Singapore facility. "Dr. Chen, the initial patient trials have exceeded all projections. Your theoretical framework from 8 years ago was absolutely correct. While others dismissed it as too revolutionary, you quietly built the infrastructure to prove it." Diana brought in the latest market analysis as the presentation time approached. "Trading algorithms are already responding to keywords in our press release. The combination of scientific breakthrough and strategic revelation has created unprecedented market momentum." Through the security feed, I watched Nathan distribute programs to arriving guests. Each glossy booklet detailed innovations he had once claimed to understand, breakthroughs he had presented as his own achievements. Now, he silently handed them out, unable to even comprehend the technical abstracts. "The legal team has finished processing Madison's latest disclosure request," Elena noted. "Her attempt to position herself as a whistleblower backfired when we demonstrated she was actually trying to sell corporate secrets. The SEC has added it to their investigation." The screens surrounding my office displayed real-time data from research facilities across 3 continents. Teams in Singapore, Switzerland, and San Francisco worked in perfect synchronization, their efforts no longer filtered through layers of corporate pretense. "The Gates Foundation sent a partnership inquiry," Diana added. "They're particularly impressed by how we maintained research integrity while navigating complex corporate dynamics. Your ability to advance scientific understanding while being underestimated has become a case study in effective leadership." Mason's final security update showed Nathan and Madison taking their positions at opposite ends of the auditorium. Their roles today were simple: ensure smooth mail distribution during the breakthrough announcement, a far cry from their previous plans to profit from stolen research. Dr. Santos appeared briefly, commenting on my complete recovery. "From emergency surgery to global scientific recognition," she mused. "Though I suspect removing certain sources of stress proved more therapeutic than any medical intervention." The announcement was about to begin. Through the glass walls, I could see the assembled audience: Nobel laureates, research pioneers, industry leaders. Among them sat the 2 people who had tried to steal my work, now responsible for handling their mail. Elena delivered one last update. "The Pharmaceutical Industry Journal wants to name you Person of the Year. Their editorial board was particularly moved by how you advanced scientific understanding, while others focused on claiming credit." The lights dimmed as I took my place at the podium. Behind me, screens displayed molecular models that had once been dismissed as too ambitious, now proven correct by years of careful research. In the back of the auditorium, Nathan and Madison stood with their mail carts, witnesses to the triumph of genuine innovation over borrowed acclaim. Diana's final message flashed across my phone: "Market opening in 2 minutes. All indicators suggest historic gains." I smiled, knowing that while some valued stock prices, my true achievement was advancing human knowledge while being underestimated by those who claimed to know me best. 1 year after my emergency gallbladder surgery, I stood at the window of my executive suite, watching the sunrise paint San Francisco's skyline in shades of possibility. The morning light caught the edges of Helix Tower, now the centerpiece of a pharmaceutical empire that had transformed global medicine. On my desk, a single photograph remained from my previous life. The moment Nathan handed me his credit card while I lay in the hospital bed, telling me to buy something nice while he emptied our savings for his girlfriend's beach house. Diana entered with the annual performance reviews, her smile containing a year's worth of satisfaction. Nathan and Madison have maintained acceptable productivity levels in the mailroom, though I must note that Madison's sixth attempt to contact pharmaceutical headhunters was intercepted last week. Apparently, she still hasn't accepted that no major company will hire someone under federal investigation. Through my office screens, I monitored our worldwide operations. Research breakthroughs in oncology, revolutionary treatments for rare diseases, life-saving innovations that had been developed while I played the role of a simple charity worker. Each achievement represented another victory for patient care over corporate ego. The Chen Foundation's second class of scholars has been selected, Elena announced, carrying a stack of acceptance letters. 500 brilliant women who've been overlooked, underestimated, or dismissed, each one carrying the potential to transform their industry from within. Mason's security feed showed Nathan methodically sorting international mail, his movements measured and resigned. The designer suits and executive swagger had been replaced by quiet efficiency, the kind that comes from a year of handling mail for the scientists whose work he once claimed as his own. The Sausalito property renovation is complete, Diana reported, showing me photographs of the transformed space. The Research Retreat Center has already hosted 3 Nobel laureates. Quite a change from its brief tenure as a love nest purchased with stolen funds. Through the glass walls, I watched our research teams at work. Scientists moved freely between laboratories, their innovations no longer bottlenecked by corporate theatrics. Direct access to CEO-level scientific understanding had accelerated our development timeline beyond industry standards. Madison's final appeal was rejected, Elena mentioned, setting down her tablet. The SEC investigation revealed patterns of corporate espionage dating back years. Her legal license has been permanently revoked. She'll be sorting mail for the foreseeable future. The screens surrounding my office displayed real-time data from facilities across 3 continents. Teams in Singapore, Switzerland, and San Francisco worked in perfect synchronization, their efforts no longer filtered through layers of corporate pretense. Each breakthrough brought us closer to curing diseases that had once seemed insurmountable. The Harvard Business Review's case study has become their most cited publication, Diana noted. Business schools worldwide are re-examining traditional corporate structures. Your model of hidden excellence has sparked a revolution in organizational theory. Through the security feed, I watched Nathan deliver mail to his former executive. Sweet. The space now housed our chief scientific officer, the walls lined with genuine research achievements rather than borrowed accolades. His mail cart squeaked slightly, a humble sound that echoed through corridors where he once proclaimed false triumphs. Dr. Zhang sent the final trial results from Singapore, Elena reported, her eyes bright with excitement. The treatment protocol you developed while pretending to plan charity galas has achieved unprecedented success rates. They're calling it the biggest breakthrough in cancer research this decade. Mason's monitors tracked Madison as she organized the afternoon mail delivery. Her designer wardrobe had been replaced by practical clothing suitable for moving mail. Carts. The Cartier bracelet Nathan had bought her with stolen money had long since been reclaimed and sold to fund research grants. The Gates Foundation partnership is exceeding all expectations, Diana added. Their directors were particularly impressed by how we maintained research integrity while navigating complex corporate dynamics. Your ability to advance scientific understanding while being underestimated has become a model for effective leadership. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across my office as I reviewed our global impact. Breakthrough treatments reaching patients worldwide, research facilities expanding across continents, lives being saved through innovations that had been developed in secret, while others claimed false credit. The Nobel Committee's delegation arrives next week, Elena mentioned casually. They're particularly interested in your early theoretical work, the papers you published under your married name that Nathan used to dismiss as hobby research at dinner parties. Through the glass walls, I could see the city stretching toward the horizon, each building representing another piece of the empire I'd built while being underestimated. The Vertex building, now fully integrated into Helix's operations, stood as a testament to the power of genuine innovation over corporate theater. Your keynote address at the World Economic Forum has been confirmed, Diana noted. They're featuring you as an example of how hidden excellence can transform entire industries. Several world leaders have requested private meetings to discuss healthcare innovation. The last light of day faded as I watched Nathan and Madison complete their final mail rounds. Their paths crossed briefly in the mailroom. Two people who had tried to steal an empire, now sorting mail for the very scientists whose work they had attempted to claim. The Wall Street Journal piece went viral again, Elena mentioned. A new generation of readers discovering how you built a pharmaceutical empire while others focused on taking credit. Your story has become a symbol of triumph through genuine innovation. Mason's final security update showed Nathan looking longingly at his old office one last time before heading to the employee parking level. His borrowed glory had faded into humble reality. His true capabilities finally aligned with his actual responsibilities. As night fell over San Francisco, I thought about the moment in that hospital room 1 year ago, when my emergency surgery had given them the opportunity they thought they needed. Their betrayal had become the catalyst for revealing an empire built on genuine innovation rather than empty promises. Diana brought in the final market report for the day. Helix Innovations had not just survived the revelation of its true leadership, we had thrived, our value increasing tenfold as the world recognized the power of authentic achievement over corporate theater. Looking out over the city lights, I smiled at the ultimate irony. It took losing my gallbladder to reveal my empire's heart. Sometimes the greatest power lies in being underestimated, in building something extraordinary while others focus on claiming credit. Success isn't always about who shouts the loudest. Sometimes it's about who works the quietest, who builds the strongest, who transforms betrayal into triumph through genuine innovation and patient excellence. Tomorrow, Nathan and Madison would return to their mailroom duties, continuing to serve the empire they had tried to steal. But tonight, watching the stars emerge over San Francisco, I celebrated not just survival or success, but the pure satisfaction of knowing that true power doesn't need to announce itself. It simply needs to persist, innovate, and transform. The world one quiet breakthrough at a time. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out.